Okay, this is a commentary of my Merc Cata solo with Kruber's Spear and Shield. Hopefully I sound a bit clearer than usual. So this was just on the map Screaming Bell. This is an interesting weapon, it's quite strange. I'm not sure what Fatchuck was thinking when they designed it. There's a lot of weird quirks in it. It's very similar to Kerillian's Spear and Shield, well the heavy chain is identical, but the lights are different. One thing that's very important with this weapon to note is the first two light attacks do incredible damage because of it's a weird thing they did. It's got to do with finesse and crits and headshot. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but the light crit headshots do massive amounts of damage. Its sword clear is actually quite good. Up there with Mason Sword. There's something to note about that heavy overhead. There's no reason to actually use it. It does the exact same damage as the heavy sweep and has the same cleave, but that's not usable because it's an overhead. It's bugged. Or it was a mistake when they did that. This weapon does not have a shield bash, unlike other shields. It does have better mobility, so it's got 1 extra dodge and 5% more dodge distance than other shield weapons. Its stagger on the lights is pretty decent, it can stagger most things. And it's decent headshot angle on Storm Vermin, but it's a bit harder on other armored enemies. The damage though is good on headshot and crit. Against hordes you just want to do light 1, light 2 block cancel. The first heavy can be useful when you're fighting a bunch of shields, because it has very high stagger cleave, but it's otherwise always lower damage and you should just use light 1 and light 2. I'm using the repeater handgun in this because it's fairly decent under pressure. It's not as good as brace of pistols, but it's still decent. As you can see, it staggers decently well and it's good damage. The third light attack is a stab. It's very easy to accidentally do. This weapon doesn't block cancel well. I'm just using the repeater handgun here because it's an assassin and I'm worried about having a bunch of storm vermin on me and then losing my stamina. I haven't built this, I've gone for a defensive build here. I've got attack speed and crit chance. So even with a shield weapon, a few storm vermin overhead's good, still drain it. I had another attempt with the Spear and Shield on Foot Knight, got straight to all the way to the final, but failed at the end. So I didn't get any ammo, I probably missed some on that run. If you've shot a gas rat, there's no reason to actually kill it, you can just let it suicide to save the ammo. So I for that horde up there, sometimes you'll want to just push really fast through an area at the start of Screaming Bell into this next area and fight the horde here if you think you can handle all the ambience. I wasn't confident with this build at the time, but if you have a very high DPS build, that's a perfectly reasonable play. This area can be a good place to hold, but it's very much a CC, or crowd control, and DPS check. You can crouch with the repeater handgun to make it more accurate. I don't do that, out of principle I suppose, but it's something you can do. Well, I say that, I think I've done it a few times. Hopefully these filters aren't cutting my voice off. So here's the next horde. What do we have in this run? It was a while since I did it. I get a Stormfiend, classic at the start of Screaming Bell. As you can see, that heavy, that overhead, doesn't actually break shields. It does on Brilliant Spear and Shield, and that's not because of some special property as far as I know, it's just because it's got the heavy sweep profile. It's very bizarre. It doesn't cleave super armor or anything like that, so it's not particularly useful. That assassin phases through the wall. I'm not sure where he is, so I'm just holding block. And because I've got so much stamina, I'm not too worried about losing it to just a horde. So I just waited for him to eventually appear and then pushed him. I'm funneling enemies here because I have a shield and it's fairly safe. I'm not too worried about the Stormfiend. It's just the Stormfiend. That's weird. I mean, I will take chip damage, but as mercenary with AoE ult, that's fine. This weapon makes pretty solid temp HP generation with cleave. It does get stopped by armor and it's not fast, but on just base Cata you don't usually have too much armor unless you get a bunch of ambience or a patrol. Now one thing that's horrible about this weapon is its boss DPS. I think if you do it optimally, it's actually pretty solid, but I did not know at the time that that heavy overhead while I was using this weapon did no damage. And that is also part of why my fight with the Bile Troll goes on for a very long time. You can see where I'm moving, I'm letting myself get surrounded a few times with this weapon because I'm pretty confident I can just escape. It's got a wide block and push angle, and quite wide sweeps, decent cleave, and just good damage to avoid build-up. See how the Horde here is just absolutely being annihilated. Especially on Merc, because he just fights Hordes really well with all of his buffs, but especially because he makes it crit more, and that's a pretty big DPS increase for this weapon. It's still solid on Foot Knight, it's just not as noticeable. Now, of course, that doesn't mean with its light attacks it's going to be deleting Storm Vermin like an Executioner's Sword, but it does mean it has a very safe way of just dealing damage to them, while having quite good reach, because it is a spear. And a shield too, so... The third light is still good, but it's not as good as the first two. I believe against monsters and bosses you want to do Light 1, Light 2, Heavy Stab. But just spamming the light seems to be a good choice as well. I haven't talked too much about what's going on here because it should be fairly straightforward, I think. I've basically just gone from spot to spot, away from where I think the Horde is going. Coming from, sorry. Making sure I maintain enough distance from it so that I'll be able to handle any specials that come about, while also being at an optimal distance to just deal DPS with my weapons to the Horde. I've got fairly good control, so I don't have to stay too far from it. Get specials with this, that's fun. I'm not sure where the assassin's going to come from, so I'm just looking around. He's going to come up, yeah, there we go. Oh, crap. Exciting. Lots of gas, which isn't good, because even as Merc I do have to worry about that damage. Especially with a weapon like this, where if I do get very low, I'm in a very dangerous position. I heal, I didn't really need to. But... As you can see, that light crit there did a lot of damage. Yeah. That was the light stab, but still. So yeah, I should actually... getting that first light to hit the Stormfiend's back because it's so wide is difficult, so I shouldn't be using the overhead though. What I should be doing is push attack, light, heavy stab. Or light again. That would be optimal. Again, yeah, I'm just pulling away from where I believe most of the Horde is coming from, making sure it's all in front of me. So yep, now it's just nice cleanup. Nothing over here, just making sure. And also because I don't want to stay in the street. Since that fight's going to kill everything, I don't have to worry about it too much. Or most of everything. I should have just switched there, but I accidentally inputted too many light attacks and wasn't able to actually switch. Again, this weapon just does not cancel terribly well. Maybe that will get fixed like it was with the Etonian Longsword. I'm not sure where the perception that this weapon didn't actually do decent damage came from. It's definitely not, doesn't feel good against monsters. I think a lot of people probably trying to use that overhead though. It's strange for a spear to be overheading, but... makes it kind of seem like it's a club. This is a really nice choke point here because I'm just maximizing my cleave efficiency and just killing them. Pretty decent at getting headshots too, despite being upsweeps. Okay, now at this point, I believe there might be something. I haven't actually watched this run, so I shouldn't skip anything. I will probably skip a big chunk of the Bile Troll fight, just looking at that. Oh, yeah. I will. Actually, I'll probably skip the rest of this. Just move to the next area. Nothing interesting happens from that point on. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to buffer. Or whatever, though. Okay, so this is the next area. Not much to talk about yet. Sorry, I have a very limited internet connection, so I can't skip around too much, since I don't have this run on file anymore. Quite a few ambience ahead. I was just pulling them there using my ammunition. The reason for doing that is because the Horde could pull it, and then I would have to deal with them and the Horde at the same time, which would be very bad. Dealing with them right now, like I am, is much easier than dealing with them and the Horde. They're going to live into the Horde, but they will have taken some damage from me, so it's not so bad. I'm getting cornered here, but that's not too bad because I have a shield. This weapon also has a special attack. I didn't actually need to use the conk there, but panic. Or I was panicking. And this special attack it does while blocking it's okay, but it's not great. Because the weapon already has pretty decent stagger, so you don't actually need it. It's not like the rapier, which can use its pistol while blocking, is actually quite good, because the weapon has very limited and low stagger. So it is often forced to block, even with its mobility. With this one, I mean, you're often just staggering the monks. Not always, but... And they die quite quickly. And you cleave them. And that special attack costs stamina. You could also just often just push attack, more mobility too, and to not lock yourself out as much. Oh, and also, that's the other big drawback, is that special attack has a significant drop. Lockout period after doing it, the second one particularly. This run was a lot of experimentation, so you won't see me doing the optimal combos much. Oh, and yeah, I was just using the ammo to pull ambience because I knew there was more ammo there. I don't get any boss here. I may get a patrol that I don't aggro. Probably not, though. It's quite satisfying to headshot off that heavy step. So yeah, as you can see, they kind of just... You don't really need to use that attack on those monks. They just die. Or get staggered if you crit. More relevant to Fortnite, because he's got the stamina for it and because he doesn't crit as much, so he's not going to kill them so quickly. But even then, it's just often not great. Because the push attack just gives you a little bit of mobility. To just move away from them anyway. There are some niche scenarios where it's useful, but I'm pulling over here because I don't want to be near where the patrol is on that bridge. You can aggro them there, and I want to make sure I'm in a spot where the Packmaster can't just drop down somewhere and immediately get me. I ulted there because I didn't think I was going to kill it, and that was extremely lucky. Definitely would have been run ending if I had had to fight the patrol there. Because I did not know how to deal with armor with this weapon, and I don't think it's great for it anyway. It would just take a while. I also don't think it deals with shields, shielded Stormfiend particularly well. Oh, it's so weird seeing that over overhead, knowing that it does no damage at all. So this is one time where I'm using it. That's cool, I guess. The reason I was doing it there was because I wasn't actually worried about the monks. I was worried about the storm vermin that I couldn't see doing an overhead. Right now I'm doing it because I'm on low health. Now I've gone back into those lights. And taking damage was good, because I just got my ult back sooner. Luckily that doesn't aggro the patrol. Normally holding here and pulling back here, instead of going up top and pushing into the next area, or just kiting away from the patrol, making sure it doesn't aggro. Normally coming here, that is a bad idea, because most builds can't handle the pressure. This one can, even with Chaos Horde, simply because it's a shield with good cleave. It just kills hordes, like it just annihilates everything when it comes to hordes. It's the same thing as Mason's Sword, really, where it just does so much horde damage. You can pretty much hold any spot you want on base Cata. Even if they're dropping right on top of you. It helps that its cleave temp HP generation is fantastic. As well as its ult generation on hit. For horde is quite good. Just waiting here for the assassin. I shouldn't be, and I missed that shot. It's very lazy of me. It's good to tag assassins like this, because then you know where they are. So yeah, you can see the push stack actually gives you a little bit of mobility. Just using a little shortcut there. There's some ammo, always good. I get a lot of Storm Vermin on this map. I think I get one Chaos Horde with the Bile Troll. Ideally I should have just kept pushing there, but I wasn't confident. Like, I'd really felt the weapon just wasn't dealing with armor, so I was using repeater handgun. Lucky the assassin came there because I had no idea where he was, couldn't see from the gas. The reason I thought this weapon couldn't deal with armor at all was because I was using that overhead. In that case it was fine because it critted, but that's not always going to happen. See that time where they crit and it's just good. I'm just pushing. No reason to fight them down here. In fact, I want to not to, because I don't want to trigger the patrol. I want to get these items over here. There's usually items scattered around that are pretty accessible in Screaming Bell. Be careful when you go into those corners though, it's very easy to get trapped. Spamming my ammo because I know there's ammo right there. Not using my ult simply because I don't need to. Just clearing. I knew stuff was coming from behind because I shot up there, but it was going to take a while, so... I should honestly just focus on the gas rat right now, but I'm not really worried about it. And yeah, Savages, it staggers really well. Stagger locks, in fact, on us. I don't need to be doing this, but why not? There was a... Unless I'm going insane, there's a concentration potion, so... And yeah, with Strength Board, its damage is really nice. I'm very conscious of the patrol coming back and then me triggering it, so I don't stay over there. Good time to have shield. Like, the spear and shields are, generally speaking, just way above the other shields, just because of the damage they do, and their mobility. They don't have the heavy bash, but they still have very good stagger. And they can still, they still have the exact same push stagger breakpoints too. So you can still stagger Plague Monks with a push if you build into it. I'm not sure what properties are for that. I believe it's exactly the same, anyway. I guess I could be wrong, but I doubt Sword and Shield's push is stronger. Yes, this is the Chaos section where I get a Bile Troll. And it is quite a... Well, I mean, this fight makes the Greatsword look like a good monster DPS. Yeah, look at this. Savages are kind of weird in general. What I should be doing right now is actually shooting those mobs up there. since the assassin, that gas rat just teleported into existence. But I should have been I'm shooting those ambience over there immediately because the assassin was not going to. I mean, he was going to come to me before those mobs ever got to me. Where I was, because that spot doesn't bug out the AI for the assassin, they always come straight at you from really obvious spots. See, I was further out that time, so, and I wasn't paying attention to my left. But if you're all the way at the back, it's very safe. They will often just jump across the entire area from behind where the troll is. See, right now the damage looks okay, but that's just because the troll hasn't entered its regen phase yet, and you can see the crits actually really do hit. Just taking the risk there because I want the Blightstormer dead. I don't want infantry. The Blightstorm isn't an immediate threat to me, but I don't want infantry and everything thrown around everywhere. So with that assassin, I tried to shoot him, but messed it up, and then I end up having to push instead. Shields are good for that because they have a larger push radius, so the timing is more lenient. And if you're off host, I guess that just means more possible. Just getting out of there, don't stay in that corner because if the horde comes, like another wave, I'm dead. Bile Trolls do a massive amount of stamina damage. You can see just more horde damage, just chunking. The horde definitely not trimming, just chunking it away. See, at that point, the horde was so thin, I could afford to just focus on the boss, but I also decided it wouldn't matter, even if I did, because he was just going to regen. The troll is not successfully keeping up with me, so that I can keep hitting him in the horde anyway. I ult there just because I hear the sound that the Bile Troll's about to hit me, probably with an overhead, which does a fair amount of damage. Probably is running overhead. I'm just spamming there, panicking. Absolutely no reason. I have a shield, I can just melee him, I can just wait till it gets closer. The part that I'll skip will be when I'm just fighting just the Bile Troll. It's not interesting. That was again the block cancelling, just not being great. Because I have temp HP on cleave, I can afford to just stand in the acid a little bit. See, I can just kind of fight the health loss. Oh, and temp HP on cleave. I should just say temporary health, sorry. Works on single targets, if you didn't know that. Which makes it quite good. I keep getting specials for a fair bit, and I think I actually do get another mini horde. That didn't feel like a full horde, but I did during this. So yeah, I think that is actually the optimal DPS combo, but I had no idea what I was doing. And that's definitely not more damage, but... Oh, that's just sad. I mean, it's not actually terrible. Bile Trolls are very tanky. Now, note that the way I'm positioning myself, I'm trying to stay and keep the Bile Troll in front of me, as well as making sure that where all the specials can spawn is in front of me as well. That way I can see if they spawn, where they're coming from, including hordes. Nothing can spawn on that side where my back was to the wall. I should say gate, it looks like. This is the next horde. Though it doesn't last long, I think it's only 2 waves. He hasn't finished casting, there's plenty of time for me to get through there. I know those guys behind me would have been picked up, and most of them wouldn't have catched up to me anyway, so it was fairly safe. Sorry for the long periods of quiet, it's just I'm really prepared for this. This is actually mostly a mic test. See that every stab, those crits, they just damage. I believe I had it explained to me that basically the way it works is if a weapon has a high finesse value, so if it just does high damage on headshot, if it also crits, on body shot that crit will be a lot of damage, but if it headshots and crits, it will still get a boost, but it won't be like crazy, which if you just did the numbers, it just would be crazy. And compared, whereas like a normal weapon will still get a significant boost on a crit headshot. Apparently that doesn't happen with Kruber Spear and Shield's first two light attacks, for some reason. So it gets these crazy crit boosts. If its cleave was not reliant on the fact that it has no armor sliding whatsoever and it's not a dual wield and it's not fast, it would probably be good on modded content, but it's not just because of elite density. Not that that's anything Thatcher should worry about. Yeah, I'm going to skip the rest of this. Probably should have skipped earlier. Into the next area, I get a lot of storm vermin around here. And I don't know how to fight them, so I end up just spamming lights in the push attack. Missing headshots. In a situation where I can totally stagger them and end up taking hits because of the wall block cancelling. Okay. Very lucky headshot. Even more storm vermin. The concentration potion is generally best on Merc, though strength bod is also very good. Speed, I mean, actually, to be honest, all of them are great, really. Having more of that ult that he has is fantastic, especially in a true solo. He does great. Most of his weapons get significant boosts from a strength bot, and just breaking shields is actually really helpful. And a speed bot, well, just fixes every weakness that his weapon has. Weapons have. That is being slow. And not as mobile. The reason I used the concentration potion up there is because I knew there was a speed pop down here. Sorry for skipping ahead, so no one would have known that, but me. And because I just wanted to get away from everything up there. I didn't feel safe fighting up there at all. At this point, I still didn't quite fully understand Screaming Bell and how things would pull. And if I didn't realize nothing would really pull from the steps too much unless I could see it. Mercenary has a bunch of steroids in his kit, and it's very apparent with a weapon like this versus Horde. This build is using More the Merrier and Reikland Reaper, which is 40% power, which is massive. It's so much power to have basically passively. Especially if you pair it with the handgun, because it doesn't rely on any of it for breakpoints. So with handgun you virtually have all that power 100% of the time that you need it. I guess 100% is wrong. You don't have it when you're fighting a boss. You have 5% power. And you won't have Reikland Reaper if you're fighting enemies you can't clear. Which extends to other things other than a boss like Chaos Warriors, depending on your weapon and shield. Though I think actually, if you have a shield weapon with a shield bash, I'm not sure, I might be able to trigger haste strikes and Reikland Reaper versus a boss if it's got enemies around it. Depends on how that Shield Bash applies the effect, if it actually gets stopped by boss or not. Because if it doesn't, then well, I'll have to take that back. And just to the final. I might fight a horde up here. We'll see. No, I just go straight in. I might get a horde when I go in though. Anything exciting? No, just the final. So I'm going to go straight to the left side here and break those chains. I just dealt with that special immediately. Usually you get 2 specials. In this case I got 2 Packmasters. This is very good. Packmasters are very good here. Actually probably the best special. Because every other, I'll pause this for a sec, every other single special will mess around. Knock you around like a warp 5 thrower, or stay at distance, or just become really hard to predict like an assassin. Or make it hard for you to hold in spots like where I am right now. It can be annoying if there's an assassin because he will often just jump straight at you. Where you can't see him because everything's in front of you. So I stayed up there a bit, just to explain a bit, fairly simple concept. I stay up here just to drag everything over here, basically. That way, now I'm going over here, half is nice and clear. And now they're all behind me. I'm going to break these chains. Oh, and you want to break the chains. Definitely break the chains. Things will just keep spawning infinitely. I wait up there for a second, jump down here. I'm not confident, so I'm going to do the very safe play and go this way and use the speed clock. This means everything will take much longer, though. It's not the good play. Ideally, what you would do is actually go to the left here, or even better, when you get up to the top here and break those chains, is actually go back down and just go straight to the next set of chains. But I didn't do that. Which you totally could with a shield weapon, especially. Fortunately, I have a speed pot, so it's not too bad. Some storm vermin here, and that's a thing with that stagger. No stopping. This rattling's annoying. He's going to deal a lot of that. I don't know why I'm trying to heal. I thought he was going to stop, I think. I shouldn't have shot the barrel. I should have shot the rattling. He was the big problem for me, and that barrel wasn't going to get any damage because I wasn't near it. Just pulling away from it. So I've got a Rat Ogre. I think I accidentally ledgered here. Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't even know that he was actually there at the time. But I guess that's the perfect ledge. Or knockoff. I'm just using a repeater handgun here to shoot things because I've got the ammo and I don't want to fight this. I mean, just look. Like, I mean, I do want to fight it, just not for this one. At the time, I didn't know how it worked, so I wasn't enthralled with it. It felt good versus hordes, but not much else. I'm not quite optimizing my usage of the repeater handgun there. I'm just not aiming at Storm Vermin, and that's what I need to be aiming at. Nothing else there is a problem. I messed this up, but I mean, I've got a shield, so it's okay. Just that. It's very interesting. Now, I have actually been there multiple times and not fallen off. Even though I've fallen off in places that look much safer. Get hit by a monk there, but it's fine, I use my ult. Actually get some kills because of it. And knocks more enemies off. Now, yeah, Storm Vermin get in the way, but I just have just enough ammo. Now I'm going to have to kill everything. I play it quite safe, just kiting. Don't need to, but I didn't want to do this again. I lost all my energy after the Bile Troll fight. And the Stormfiend fight too, to be honest. It was horrible. And this is why I used to use spawn tweaks all the time. I just don't like battering the boss forever and ever. It was definitely cheesy with certain weapons like Rapier. But with weapons like Greatsword, it's harder, 100%, to do it without the extra boss damage. It's just not something I enjoy personally, that's all. Oh, and I actually did a Bile Troll recently at base damage with Greatsword, and it took actually a full 10 minutes. No special spawning either, just 10 minutes on that Bile Troll. So I actually waited before engaging them again, because I wanted to get to a nice flat area here. And also because I was going to be able to move back into this drop down and get more hits in safely. And so I had somewhere to escape cleanly. This is basically cheese at this point though, how I just stay here. Because they're not even coming down to climb up. It kind of messes with the AI a little. I come down because there's really no danger anymore. Nothing could even one-shot me. And I'm actually confused as to where the boss is. I realized about halfway that the boss just seemingly vanished. I only realized once I watched the recording originally. And I'm just showing my build. Just normal stuff on mods first. Fairly standard stuff. I had power versus Skaven. That was a mistake. I actually meant to have power versus Chaos. But that turned out to be a decent play for this run. Outside of the Bile Troll, almost everything was Skaven. Oh, and the Horde with the Bile Troll, but besides that. Now it's just straight to the exit. I don't think literally anything interesting happens. So I'm going to end that